Hi, so I'm gonna do the block for the reading response we did for this week for multicultural education. I'm gonna go ahead and respond to what I feel is best um, based on the reading and what I got at it, my insights. And so I'm gonna answer for part one. As you see right here, I'm going to go ahead and answer what is the significance of this text, political, social, and historically? Does this topic hold the same significance for you, or is this a topic with which you have not previously engaged in any way? This holds a great big deal on me because as an African American, I have been in different education systems, and so I do understand the dynamics it takes to succeed in what we like to call a PWI, like predominantly white institution. So I been going through that throughout my whole life since the elementary all the way to college and graduating, and now I'm in a grad program. So it holds socially. It holds what I understand as different classes, right? So you have the middle class, you have the high class, you have the lower class, and so you have different ones that you can that changes the way we think about education, right? And so I was really in the middle class section when I was growing up. So throughout my life, I went through private school from first grade all the way to sixth grade. And then when I got to seventh grade, I actually still went to a school that was pretty much predominantly all white, but then it was actually more African Americans than I thought, and it actually put me in a place where I felt where I didn't know what my class was when I was going into first, second grade and all that, but I initially knew what class I was in once I got into middle school, because the school was so close to the inner city, which was Oak Park, if you know about Sacramento. A lot of the African American, a lot of minorities went to the school, and I went to Southern Middle. And so, since I was black and since I was African American, I had to associate myself with them. And as I associate myself with them, I could see the differences in how we talk and how we present ourselves. And then I could also see how the teachers was talking to them and how they were being presented in the classroom, how they were being talked to, and how sometimes their learning difficulties was showing up. Um, I was always considered maybe a smarter kid or a kid who understood more because I was a little bit quieter. I kind of observed more. I had both my parents in my life. I had my mom and my dad. And so my dad was an engineer, so he was really good at teaching me math and really good at being present in my life. But I could see the difference in my friends who I was almost forced to hang out with because of their culture, because of what they look like, identity wise, that I could see that they had a hard time in math and science and all that. And I could see how the teachers reacted to them and how they couldn't speak to them, how the arguments would be presented because of how they exactly how they talk to them. So socially, I could see the difference in that. I could see the difference between the middle class, the low class, and so how that affected me, it affected the way I am right now, right? So what I do as for my job, I am an outreach coordinator for the Martin Luther King Center for at Sacramento State. And so, since I grew up with that dynamic of understanding understanding the black culture, the reason I say the black culture is because I'm West African. My parents are from West Africa, and I'm Liberian. And so, I have to really understand the difference between the difference between my culture and their culture, and actually integrating that together. And so, as an outreach coordinator, I understand why they act a certain way, or why they're presenting a certain way, or why they are put in a certain category or box. And so, with that being said, I'm just talking about the text itself. In the text we talked about, if I put this up right now, We talk about different dimensions. We talk about, let's see here, social class, right? The social class of like, so during the 1950s, social scientists offered attribute characteristics to a lower class that are found in middle class today, such as single parent and female headed households. So right now we're still going through that, right? We're still going through a lower class where it's typically um, um, female headed, not female headed, but female headed households and high divorce rates. So socially, that could be an issue, right? And so yeah, so I'm gonna answer that question. Let's see, go back. It's my first time doing a video, so I'm a little bit nervous, but let's see here. So yeah, so socially, I can see how the text is really important, how we have to understand our different social class. Then historically, right? So we talk about the 1960s and the 1970s. We talk about how the civil rights movement really played a key part and key role in the multicultural education and developing that idea, right? Developing how that was going to be integrated for everybody, right? So that we are not just talking about um, 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 equality for African Americans, equality for Hispanics, equality for that, but also equality in education, how we teach students to understand where they come from, and to know that when we talking to them, we have to understand that they come from a different culture, right, from a different home. So being able to implement that in our teaching and implement that in our learning. So And does this topic hold the same significance for you, or is this topic with which you have not previously engaged in any way? No, I mean, I definitely engage in this topic all the time about multicultural education, how we're going to be able to make sure that students of color, which is African American, Hispanic, Asian, or underrepresented students, how they're going to be able to be successful in again a PWI, predominantly white institution. If you don't know their culture, if you don't know where they're from, how will you help them out? How will you help them out? How will you guide them? Being able to understand culturally their social class, so really utilizing everything, right? Not utilizing everything, but being able to uh, gain all the knowledge that we know about our cultures and be able to utilize it in the classroom. All right. So then I'm gonna go ahead and answer. How does this text challenge or reinforce equalities or power imbalances? Does it offer new insights for you? If so, no. It does. Does it give you new insights? Yeah, give me new insights about how I should think about the way I should be a teacher and how I should be an instructional designer, especially in the education technology. So it helps me think about ways to be creative, ways to be open minded, and so reinforce the inequalities, the power imbalances, and understand that we all come from different places, different ideas, and so we have to be open minded and not just think in one way. And we also talk about multiple intelligence, right? There's multiple ways to learn something. It's through kinesiology, on the kinesthetics. I'm sorry, kinesthetics. Is it through audio? Is it through visual? For me, I'm a visual learner, so that's one way I learn. So yeah, so the text is challenging me to think outside the box and think how I could be a instructional designer. All right, part two. Uh, see how does text challenge support other text you have written. Okay, yeah, I like this question right here. Do the texts offer insights that enable you to think about your privilege and or as a oppression in daily life, or do you see your power operating in life? Yes. So this text really highlights my own privilege. Like I said before, I was raised in a middle class middle class household, and so I see the benefits of me having two parents in my household. The benefit of my father always being there and helping me out, and then me being African, and then me being black at the same time. And so trying to understand and integrate that all together, I see that the I did have a great opportunity to go to school, you know, and also help me to get to college and graduate. But then at the same time, as being a black man in America, that's also hard. It's another issue because the teachers couldn't really relate to me, right? Luckily, I was just a kid who could really observe what's going on in the classroom, and I could really just learn on my own, and I could ask questions at home. But I think about, you know, those who didn't have that privilege, you know, who don't have that role model in their household. So it really did put something in my heart to actually be that person, to be a mentor and help and support other students who are of color, be able to know that, yeah, you know, I want to make sure that they succeed just as much as I did. All right, and so part three. Um, Now that I know this, how can I be the change we wish to see in the world? Now that I know this information, know about the multicultural education, I can be able to, like I said, implement that into the classroom, implement that in my everyday life, implement that in the way I interact with people, especially my son. You know, my son goes to a predominantly African American school. You know, but letting him know that there's different ways to learn, different ways to teach him. And so now that I know this, I could be able to be a change, right? I could be able to pick out a student and say, hey, you know, what do you need? You know, have that conversation with them. You know, where they're from, their culture, their life. You know, and not just go one way of thinking. You know, one thing I liked about our text is that we pointed out the not gender. We pointed out gender. Then we also pointed out the social construction of categories. So that American society, we have a certain idea of what a gender, of what somebody should be based on their gender, based on their sexual orientation, based on their race. You know, and then we go with that. And that's not how it should be. We should be able to be open minded that people are or whatever, you know, and that we should be able to understand who they are and be able to support them in order for them to be successful. And then I also like the fact that we talked about not teachings, but what was it? I like the yeah, the individualism. I like that, and understanding that, you know, in America, yeah, we are really about, you know, pulling ourselves up on our own bootstrap, right? Doing things on our own. But does that have to be the right way and the only way to do things? You know, can we do it as a group? Can we do it as a society? You know, we shouldn't be looking at somebody and pointing at them and saying, "Oh, well, you know, you didn't make it, so you're a failure." You know, but we should be able to support each other. We should be able to help each other out and guide them, and not just think that we have to do everything independently. I did love the fact that we talked about that. So me reading about this, me understanding this concept really helped me to want to make a bigger change in the community, and especially in the classroom. So yeah, let's go back. Um, okay, so that's about it. I hopefully that worked. And I appreciate the reading this week. It was very informational. It really kept me engaged. So I'm excited about what's going to be next. Thank you.